After more than 40 years as a CPA, business consultant, and governmental affairs professional, Don retired in 2019, but not before asking himself a deeper question. What am I going to do after I retire? In 2017, during a friend's ordination to the priesthood, Don experienced what he describes as a Holy Spirit knock on the head, a moment of calling that would lead him on a new path. He answered that call and was ordained as a permanent deacon in August 2023. Assigned to his home parish of St. Aloysius, Deacon Don's ministry of charity is in prison ministry, a role that has quickly become his passion and mission. His journey is a testament to listening for God's call at any stage of life. After hearing his presentation, you'll understand why this ministry means so much to him and why his story continues to inspire others. Please help me welcome Deacon Don Allison.
Thanks for that wonderful introduction. I'm not sure who wrote that, but I'm sure glad you did it. All right, can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. Maneuver like this, maybe. So she took part of my opening statements. I was going to give you a little background about myself, but that's been taken care of pretty well. But I do have a story to tell, and that's the reason I'm here, of course. And I was started in 1996. I was had a real bad habit back then. I was working late, as I often did, had my priorities mixed up, and worked late one night at a place I was working at an organization called Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. All right, LABI, some of y'all know. And leaving work there late that night, I was headed to my car. And I'll say late, it was 11:30 or something like that. So I was headed to my car, but my car was closer than from here to that wall from me. From the front door to the car was probably only about from here to the table, the last floor tables there. Headed to there, trying to, now I want to get home, and, excuse me, back up. I think I'm talking differently today, and I apologize for that. If you know me, you might hear something different in how I'm talking today. I've had lots of dental work done over the last 8 days, including this morning. Today counts. I've been in a dentist chair 5 of the last 9 days, counting today. So I feel like I'm not talking as I normally would. So if you feel the same way, that's the reason. That's my story, my excuse. Okay. So anyway, so a guy jumped out from behind a bush right as I was headed to my car. Like so I was walking down this aisle to my car, and he hops out from behind a bush, like where in between that table, and got his gun right here in a split second. Whoa, man, what's going on? And he wants my car. And anything else I'm willing to give him. I said, okay. Wallet, keys, watch. Here, that's all I have, man. Take it. Go ahead. Just do not pull that trigger. Man. So people ask me, what about your cell phone? How did you not give him your cell phone? Well, pretty simple. Remember I told you when this was?
Yeah.
1996? I don't know how many of y'all had cell phones in 1996, but that was 29 years ago now. I didn't have a cell phone. My wife and I shared one. Big box phone, remember? That had the wire coming out of it to the antenna. And it was held by magnet to your roof if you did that. And so she had the phone that day, not me. And so there was no phone to give him. So anyway, I gotta make a long story short. So let me cut through some of the details, but he starts my car, comes back, he has me go, I've got one, he doesn't know where to put it. Where am I going to put it though? No, it's not. I've got one over there.
Okay.
When I need it, I'll just walk off the stage and grab it. Let me tell you, that's mine right there already. Now I have 3. Thank you. So anyway, the building's L-shaped right here. I come out of the door, there's an L shape here. He makes me go in this corner and goes in my car. I'm thinking, oh man, he's going to leave. I'm going to come out and sing alive. And he comes back and he stops and he turns toward me and I hear a click. And I used to tell the story this way. I used to say, right at the perfect split second, I dove into a bush. Right as he pulled that trigger. I mean, the perfect split second. If I jump too early, he just moves the gun. If I jump too late, it's too late. So I take credit for being a great athlete, and I jumped at the perfect split second, diving into a bush. Now, see, that's not really what happened. Here's what really happened. I didn't do beans, okay? The Holy Spirit, accompanied by my guardian angel, pushed me. I know it now. Pushed me at the right split second. How else could it be the right split second, okay? But literally, so I'm right here, he's right there. I dove this way, so he's right, when he shoots, he's coming from my left. It's midnight, right? It really was. My shirt tail's not tucked in like it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. It flares out when I dive forward. The bullet clipped my shirt like that. It went in and out of my shirt behind me. As I'm diving this way, it clipped my shirt as I was behind me. I didn't know it at the moment, of course. He goes back to my car. I'm in one piece, and he's leaving. Wow. Well, he came back to the bush that I was in and got this close. And in spite of my efforts to try to convince him otherwise, he did shoot again. And then he drove off. A second bullet hit me. And I'm going to this in gory detail. Entered my right upper thigh, outside part of my thigh. Exited my right inner thigh. Yes, very close, everybody. and then so I'm squatted in this bush, and it enters my left calf. And it lodged there. Long story, I was able to, the Holy Spirit carried me and adrenaline kicked in and I was able to run to a hotel next door to where I was working. Obviously they're open 24/7. Got some help, I'm bleeding all over their lobby. But they call the cops, they call the ambulance. And so I said, call the cops, the ambulance, and my wife. I said, wait a minute, hold up on that third one. We've got to figure out how we're going to break this to her. So, but the cops and the ambulance came real quick and got me to the hospital and go to the ER. Doctor starts digging it, or assessing everything. And so he finally cuts the bullet out of my left calf. He debated leaving it in. The police walked in, the detectives, with an empty specimen cup and said, we need the bullet. The doctor said, who are you and why do you need the bullet? He said, well, we're the detectives, we found the car, we're doing fingerprints, we're building the case, we need the bullet for evidence. And the doctor said, okay, I was going to leave it in. So leave it in until it could work its way to the surface as a foreign object and then could get it out easier. I wasn't really crazy about that idea anyway. So, but I wasn't in a position to argue with the ER doctor. So okay, we'll go get the bullet. So he dug it out. And then he says, wow, I can't explain this. I said, what are you talking about, Doc? He said, this is a 38 hollow point.
Oh, wow.
Many of you know, I didn't know 38 hollow point meant, but I can tell from your reaction, a lot of you guys do, and ladies. So anyway, a hollow point, as the name would indicate, it's a bullet that doesn't come to a point at the nose of it. It is hollow right there. So it's meant to, when it hits whatever it's going to impact, it's meant to mushroom, shred, and if it shreds, little pieces of metal, shrapnel, goes all over the place. name on the street for that bullet is a cop killer bullet, because they do a lot of damage. You can imagine that, if the metal would fly around your insides and do all, you couldn't possibly find everything and repair everything before the person bled to death, I guess. So anyway, he said, I've dug a lot of these bullets out of people. Well, I said, I've treated a lot of people shot by hollow points. I've never seen one that didn't do what it's supposed to do, mushroom, shred, and all that. He said, now also, I'm not sure I can explain this. He said, this 38 hollow point passed through both of your legs. By the time, so I cut it out of your left leg, so it entered your right outer leg and exited your left outer leg eventually when I cut it out. So it passed through both of your legs, and it didn't touch a bone or a nerve or your femoral artery, which is right there, as you all know. And so if it nicks my femoral artery, or a piece of the bullet does, or it nicks the bone, and the bone shatters, and a piece of bone nicks my femoral artery, all those things are likely to happen. I'll be bled to death, what, Jed, 4 or 5 minutes maybe? So that didn't happen. So he said, I've never seen that either. I can't explain it. I said, well, I'm starting to think, look, this is pre-conversion Don. This is not Deacon Don in 1996. I'm Deacon Don now. I was a long way from Deacon Don back then, okay? I was raised Baptist. I have one of my nephews here who's from Alexandria, from Pineville. And I converted to Catholicism in 1984, 28 years old. And I tell people this way. And here's how I describe it. I wasn't a very good Baptist. Thank you. I wasn't a very good Baptist, and I wasn't a very good Catholic. Okay, so I was not the guy now that's been through the conversion I've been through. But I started thinking right there in that emergency room, there might be an explanation for this. There might be a how, God might have his hand in some of this. That's all I can think that it might be. So anyway, fast forward, I get out. A few days later, I'm on crutches, but I'm reading the remember we used to get the old-fashioned Sunday paper, the old paper version, reading the Sunday paper, and in the police and fire briefs, there's a little short story. Those are all real short. They never put anybody's picture in that section, but they had a picture there. It was the guy I remember from Wednesday night. This is Sunday. That happened Wednesday night. For something else. Whoa, wait a minute. Call my detective. I had this is late Sunday night. I had his number. I said, hey man, you called my guy. He said, no, we didn't. I said, no. He said, why do you think I did? I said, check out today, you get today's paper? Yeah, right here. Go to page so-and-so, look at this. I said, he said, okay, I see what you're talking about. I said, I don't know the guy's name, so I can't tell you that's him, but I will tell you this. That's either him or his twin brother, because that's a status, okay? He said, wow, that's bizarre, but, okay, I'll go question him. Long story short, questioning. After a while, he confessed. But we go to court because his public defender advised him to plead not guilty. So we have to go to trial. Trial is 11 months later. The accusations the charges were 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, 1 count of armed robbery. 2 counts of attempted murder because he shot and missed, went to the car, came back. It was all within seconds, but once he walks away and comes back, that's a second count of attempted murder legally, and then an armed robbery for driving off in my car that he stole at gunpoint. So trial took a day. Here, it took most of that was jury selection. They tried to get the suppression, the confession suppressed, and so the jury would not hear the confession, and he could just, that would be their defense, and so that I'm the only witness. It's just my word against his, etc. So that didn't work. The judge denied the motion to suppress the confession. So they played the confession for the jury. Then the cop testifies, By the way, give him credit. He was a detective who's now an attorney that some of y'all might know. His name is Tony Dewey. Okay, he's an attorney that does a lot of criminal law, both sides of things. But he was, luckily, again, the hand of God in all this. He's my detective. And so Tommy testifies, then I testify. And between those testimonies and the confession, the jury left and was back in 20 minutes. Okay, guilty, guilty, guilty. A month later, it's the sentencing, and the judge nailed it. And look, at that point, I was able to make statements to the judge, and written and verbal and everything. I was a bulldog with my teeth into something I was not going to let go of. And so I made an impassioned plea to her, and she responded by sentencing him to 30, 30, and 35 years. But here's the kicker: to be served consecutively. In most cases, that would be concurrently. So you're doing them all at the same time, so it's really just a 35-year sentence, right? But no, he would be serving 30, then he'd start on 30, and then he'd start on 35. So 95 years he's gone, forever. And boy, I'm feeling pretty good about that. And because I was already of the opinion in any criminal case, lock him up and throw away the key. Now, I'm a victim in this case, so you can imagine how strong I feel about locking him up and throw away the key. So, fast forward. In fact, I heard the judge say he wasn't even eligible for parole, pardon, or suspension of sentence, only good time. But let's go 20 years later, 2016. I got a phone call. I had a cell phone by that time. I was at work, got a phone call, and it was a parole officer wanting to know if I was the Don Allison who was the victim of, the guy's name was Marcus Cheffen, 20 years ago. I said, yeah, but why are you calling me? Why are you asking? He says, well, he's got a parole hearing coming up in a couple of months, and part of my job is to find you, which I have now, and get a statement from you about how you feel about his parole, so we can put that in his file that the parole board is going to read before the hearing. I said, what? There's not going to be a parole hearing. This guy's not eligible for that. So I wasted a lot of effort trying to stop the parole hearing from even happening. I went, in fact, eventually to the Secretary of the Department of Corrections, because I remember what the judge said. I'm a lawyer with a lot of research on it. I said, pretty clear to me this guy's not eligible for a parole hearing. But they said the law is vague, and they had to err on the side of caution. Their job is, they said, Don, I'm telling you, we're going to give him a hearing. You can't stop that. Now, I recommend you put all this effort into what you're going to do at the hearing, what you're going to say at the hearing. Giving him a hearing doesn't mean we're going to release him. You've got to give him a hearing. He can be denied at that hearing, and victim opposition carries a lot of weight at these hearings. So why don't you leave us alone and start focusing on that? I took his advice, and that's what I did. Went to that parole hearing in July 16, and he made his arguments or his plea and his, reasons he should be paroled. I'm thinking blah, 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 blah. Just, when do I get to speak? I was there on a mission. And I had prepared what I was going to say, and I was there to make sure that they voted no. And so, got my turn, said my piece, they voted no. So, Don wins again on that one, okay? I'll be feeling pretty good, right? So, thank you very much. So that was one of the turning points of the story. My wife was living at that period, of course. Later that very same day, there was the morning hearing, and that afternoon we were driving to the New Orleans airport, catch a flight to go visit my daughters who were out of state at the time. Or a couple of them were visiting out of state, and we were going to join them. And she says, Don, do you think you did the right thing this morning? Gives me chill bumps right now. And I thought, well, here's the back up. I was starting to have those thoughts from 10 o'clock and we left that hearing to maybe just 2 o'clock and we were in the car, I was having some of these thoughts, like, I wonder if I did the right thing this morning. I started reliving in my head what he said. Because I couldn't remember. I was just saying, hurry up and finish so I can do my thing. But I still remembered what he said, and I was kind of going back over it and thinking, I was convincing myself he's just a good liar. He's a criminal, okay? They know how to lie, right? He's just a good BSer. He's just a good salesman. He's just, if I'd have been in his shoes and that's my one chance to get out of prison after 20 years instead of 95, I'd have said and done anything to convince him. True or not. So that's all that was. So Don, don't fall for this. He was just full of BS. Those were my thoughts before 2 o'clock. About 2 o'clock, I'm guessing at the time. She says, do I think I did the right thing this morning? I thought, oh, I'm busted now. Because I was going to suppress those thoughts. They're just going to be between me and God, and I'll worry about that later. Okay? But I'm going to suppress those thoughts until she asks me that question. I can't suppress them anymore. Because I love to tell this part to young people about this. Say, okay, young men in the audience, you need to know 2 things. First of all, wives can read husbands' minds. Okay? And I'm living proof, all right? She read my mind, right? All right, rule number 2, all you young men that are, at a confirmation class or something. Rule number 2, you can't lie to your wife, okay? So here I am busted, okay? She's read my mind, and all I can do is lie to her, which was not an option, or confess. And I had to confess. My confession is this, I really don't know, but now I've got to do something to find out. So I went through a long 3-year process from 2016 to 2019 to determine if I had done the right thing. And it's called the Victim Offender Dialogue Program. Okay? I don't know if you have ever heard of it. I know some people have heard of it. As its name indicates, it's not really, really well used, but also not really, really well known. One reason it's not used because it's not well known, but also it's something that the victim has to initiate. Most victims don't want to initiate. They were like, I was thinking for a while, just close that chapter, let's move on and put that in the rearview mirror. I don't want to have a dialogue with the person who did this or that or whatever to me or to my family member. So anyway, I found out about it though as I was looking into how in the heck can I find out if I did the right thing at that first hearing. So anyway, went through a long 3-year process there, a lot of meetings. DOC, Department of Corrections people, facilitate these meetings. They do this on their own time. They're well trained on how to do it. But they're like, there's 2 of them. They would meet with me, and like 2 months later, because they were real busy, they'd meet with him. And then a couple months later, they'd meet with me, and a couple months later, they'd meet with him. And so this one thing that took so long, one reason it took so long. So what we're leading up to, if they feel like it's appropriate, the result of all those meetings is a face-to-face meeting between the victim and the offender. It's a victim-offender dialogue at the end of all that. Face-to-face meeting. So we were, in 2019, now we're leading up to that point. And it's time for me to decide, do I want to have a meeting? And what am I going to do at that meeting? And so, also, remember those dates I told you? This happened in 16, the hearing. This is 19. Well, in 17 is when, I don't know if you remember the introduction she read about me, but in 17 is when I was at this ordination of a friend of mine being ordained a priest. And I really got a knock on the head from the Holy Spirit. At that same ordination, there was a man being ordained a transitional deacon. Okay? He's now Father Tim Grimes. Okay? A transitional deacon is a priest, a seminarian on the way to become a priest. The last year, generally, is they are actually a deacon. You get ordained a deacon, and then 6 months to a year later, you get ordained a priest. Okay? 2 men in December in the Diocese of Baton Rouge got ordained deacons in December of 24, and then in June of 25, they were ordained priests. They only had a 6-month diaconate. But anyway, there was a guy out there being ordained as a deacon, transitional deacon. And I was daydreaming, I was not paying attention. And I got the most clear message in my ears, and I'm almost literally a slap on the face or a knock on the head. It's at least a tap on the shoulder, but it was more than that. It said, "Hey, Donnie, wake up. There's something up there I want you to pay attention to. They're ordaining a guy as a deacon, and that's what I want you to do when you retire." I mean, clear as I just said. And remember what in the introduction she said, I was about to retire and trying to figure out what I was going to do in my retirement. So anyway, I'm discerning the diaconate, entered the diaconate formation in 18, started the classes at brand new in August of 18. Now this is August of 19 that I'm about to have this face-to-face meeting with the guy who tried to kill me. But I'm starting to become this new person that I referred to earlier. I was in the process. It took a lot of work by the Holy Spirit, but he turned old Don into Deacon Don. Okay, and I was in that process there and becoming a different person and learning a whole lot about the Catholic Church teaching about forgiveness in that first year of diaconate classes. And here I am having to make a personal decision about forgiveness.
Because you never know. You know, God have a plan for me. My plan was, his plan was for me and Mr. Allison to be best friends. Because Mr. Allison is my best friend. You know, because he has the biggest heart in the world. And a lot of people don't understand forgiveness. You know, so I always say this here. Somebody do you something, you know, it's all right to forgive them. It's even all right to forget. You know, and every time I get the opportunity to talk, Mr. Allison calls and coming running because at the same time, he's the reason why I'm home. You know, I tell everybody about my story. I'm pretty much sure y'all have seen. We did the, what is that?
It was on WFB did a story, did a piece about our story. They aired it on Easter Sunday night, this 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they interviewed us mid-April and then aired it that night.
So with that being said, it was every time he asks, you know, I don't have a problem with it. You know, I might be slow because I work so much, but at the same time, it's just the power of forgiveness. And you know, when I say forgiveness, I see Mr. Allison. Because if Mr. Allison can forgive me for doing what I did, I mean, that's the biggest, you know, so somebody do me something, it's all about forgiveness. I want to tell you again, every time I see you, I tell you thank you, I love you,
yeah.
You know, because without him, you know, I wouldn't be out here to speak with y'all. Thank y'all very much.